Hey everyone, it's Wes Spence. Welcome back to Scar Tissue, a podcast with CAVU International, where we dig into the stories behind the scars. We're here to explore the human condition, resilience, mindset, growth, and the stories that, well, quite frankly, will leave a mark. Today we are honored to have as our guest former reality TV star, now social media influencer, wife, and mom of three, soon to be four, Lauren Luyendyk. Hey, Lauren.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, hey, it's great to have you on. One, before we get into the questions, just want to thank you, and I'll thank Ari when we do our talk, but just for letting me hang out with you all yesterday. And as we were just discussing, having, you got all your kids running around.
Mhm.
Now, I have two daughters. They're now, 27, 24, and brought back a lot of really good memories of the chaos of that time. This audience, it might not necessarily be your followers per se,
Mhm.
and so just for the sake of new audience for you, just kind of give me your background, where you're from, how you grew up, some of your lifestyle growing up in a military family. So over to you right quick on just that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was fun hanging out yesterday, so thanks for coming along.
Yeah.
But I guess I grew up in a military family. You guys know my dad, Dave
Yep.
Burnham, the CEO of CAVU International.
Yep.
So we moved around almost every 2 years through my childhood. So a lot of bouncing around, a lot of adapting. I didn't love it back then, but I feel like it taught me so many great life lessons that I use in my life today. And I'm really grateful that I grew up that way. I guess I went to college for a degree because my dad was all about going to college, and I just did what he said at the time.
We were the same parents, yeah.
Yeah, he always wanted me to have a safety net to fall back on,
Mhm.
so I just did what he said at the time. But I always pursued my own path. At the end of the day, I feel like I took a lot of risks, and he wasn't so happy about a lot of them, but it landed me in Texas, where I eventually went on The Bachelor. I met my husband, Ari, who you're going to talk to later.
Right.
We've got 3 beautiful kids, another one on the way, like you said, and multiple business ventures together. So Ari and I are both serial entrepreneurs now, and we've started a lot. We've failed a lot and learned a lot along the way.
Awesome. We're going to get into all that. So that's a great summary. But getting back to your growing up as a military family, one, where was your favorite place growing up? Just curious. And why?
I think my favorite place that we lived was Washington State.
Okay.
And I think it's mostly because I got to stay there the longest. I went to high school there, and I was there for 5 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So those were really formative years for me. I also loved the weather. I loved how dreary and gloomy it was. I know most people hated that about it, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's romantic and special in a way. It's not really like anywhere else in the country.
Give me one or two things that you learned growing up there that you carry on like today. How did it impact you then, and how does it carry forward to today? Growing up in Washington.
Growing up in Washington.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that stands out about Washington specifically is every weekend during high school, my sister and I would get on a bus at 3 a.m, drive up to the mountains, and go snowboarding all weekend, and then we'd come back. So I don't think that's really an opportunity that you get to have in a lot of places through high school. So that was really cool to get good at a sport that I still do today.
Oh, right on. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit later too. We have I call it the how do you cleanse your soul? So that probably will come in there. Let's see here. So you're moving around a lot in military experience. What about that military experience, military family experience, I should say? What was your biggest lesson learned? Was it resiliency? Was it ability to adapt or not in any situation? What was the biggest takeaways from that time in that era? Is it wherever you were, Washington State or otherwise?
Okay. Growing up in a military family is definitely an interesting experience. I feel like every couple of years, every time we moved, I had to start fresh. I had to make new friends. And just kind of be brave and like push myself past a point of my comfortability. I was always really shy growing up, so going to a new school, not knowing anybody, I always had to just overcome that shyness and put myself out there. And I think that's something that I've repetitively done in my adult life as well. And it's something going on The Bachelor was also.
I was going to say, you're an introvert. You went on The Bachelor.
Yeah, I was very much an introvert. I was very shy, quiet growing up. But I've always really valued putting myself out there and facing my fears. And the show for me was an opportunity to do that as well.
Yeah.
I was on a large public platform, so lots of eyes on me, lots of judgment, lots of opinions.
Yeah.
So I think it was just a really great opportunity for me to grow in that area. And I'm very comfortable now.
What was the driving factor for that? Was that an example from your mom, your dad, or maybe your grandparents, or where'd you get that drive to overcome? Because overcoming public speaking, I mean, it was the '90s. They had a survey, and it was the number one fear, and death was number two. Public speaking was no kidding. Public speaking was above death, right?
Okay.
And so, how did you overcome that fear? Where do you think that drive came from?
Gosh, I don't know. I haven't really thought about where it came from. It's just been there. Oh, it's always been there.
Always been there. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that I've just seen a pattern in my life, and every time I've pushed past where I'm comfortable, good things have come. I guess, yeah, I've just noticed the pattern.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's really all it is.
Okay.
It kind of excites me. Like, my husband's the complete opposite. He's also an introvert, which is ironic.
Yeah.
But he avoids social interactions if he can, because he doesn't really like being in those situations.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, hey, let's go meet our new neighbors. And I'll like pull him over there. I'm like, let's go chat. Let's go hang out. And it's just something that I enjoy, even though it scared me. So I don't know. I think people are just different in the way that they think.
Cool. So thinking about back at, in your military family experience, what was the biggest challenge you had growing up there, and how did you, was it, we already talked about, or were there other things that were more challenging that you had to really work to overcome, or maybe you never did, and maybe looking back you would have done something different?
I think the social part was definitely a big thing that was difficult growing up as a military child, but I think one of the things that I wish that I had maybe in like my high school, college years that I didn't feel like I had as much of was consistency with like a sport or something that I was really passionate about, because every time I went somewhere there was like a different sport that was really popular at each school in a different state.
Yeah.
So I tried a lot of new things, which was really cool. I was very well rounded, but I don't feel like I stuck with one thing enough to get really good at it, which is something that I regret doing. And it's never too late. I could still do it now.
I didn't learn to surf till I turned 30, and I didn't learn to surf on a stand-up paddleboard till I turned 48. So you got plenty of time. You got plenty of time. Age is just a number. That's the way I look at it. Do you have about your mom or dad or grandparents? Do you have a favorite memory of them growing up? Either one or both?
Well, I mean, there's a lot. It's hard to pick just one.
Okay, I have a couple of them. Yeah. What are some of the favorite memories you had growing up about them? Mom and dad and parents.
I mean, my dad he was interesting to grow up with. He was always putting us in really unsafe situations and being like, it's fine. Like, it's going to be great. Don't even worry about it.
He still does that.
Yeah. But I think maybe that's partially why I enjoy taking risks now, because, when you are fearful of something and you avoid it, you'll never see if you can overcome it. But it's kind of, you're proud once you overcome that fear. So I think that with him, one that we were even talking about yesterday on the boat is he would make me wakeboard in rivers with alligators in the south, which was very scary. But I'm here. I made it.
Yep.
Also, like snowboarding on the backside of mountains where there's like no paths, getting lost on cross-country ski trails on a snowboard. I don't know. It's just like always doing things that are a little bit risky, but
yeah, I think there's something to that. Everybody needs a bit of a challenge, and if you don't have those challenges and get the confidence to overcome them, that's what life is all about, I think, right?
Right.
Yeah. What values do you look at from your childhood, bringing forward to now that you raise your current kids with and into the future? What do you think are your baseline beliefs and values to make sure they are on a good path going forward too?
Yeah, I think something that's I don't know. In our culture today, I feel like it's one or the other. Like, you have to pick a healthy home and personal life, or you have to pick a healthy career and excel in that direction instead. But my philosophy is like I've always, probably from high school to college age, I've always wanted to have a good balance of both. And that's always been my goal when it comes to my career. I want to have a career that I can also have like a very healthy family life with as well. So when I went to college, I got my degree in psychology. I was there first of all for pre-med, but I decided to go into sales because I knew that I could make a lot of money, be successful in that, but I could also be with my family and, you know, have that balance that I was seeking.
Okay.
And that's kind of something that I still do today.
Yeah. So how do you balance all that? What's your secret sauce, if you will, of balance?
Honestly, I owe a lot of credit to Ari because
Okay.
we both bounce a lot off of each other. It's like if the kids need us, one of us is always with the kids, and then the other one gets to go work, and we switch.
Yeah.
So it's just about communication and figuring out, you know, how to balance it all. But Ari, I owe a lot of credit to him because he's a really good dad and partner.
All right. Let's kind of shift a little bit into career and business just for a bit. All right.
Okay.
For you now, like I've learned from my wife about just stalking people. So I stalked you all a little bit on social media,
Okay.
and what blew me away is you got like 1.2 million followers on Instagram, right?
Mhm.
And so I was gonna the question I had in my mind was, how does the impact of that transition to an influencer, what does that have on you, and how do you kind of buffer that from your family, or how do you involve all that? How do you balance all of that? Because to me, being a introvert as well, that to me that'd be the biggest fear I would have is people being able to just follow you every second of every day of what you do, what you eat, and all that kind of thing. So just how do you balance all that?
Yeah. I mean, having that many eyes on you is definitely interesting as someone who likes to be more private.
Yeah.
But the thing that I've kind of learned over the years with that is that you kind of set your boundaries there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want them to be involved in every second of every day, they don't have to be. Like
Yeah.
you're really only sharing what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
But for me, like I will still post things that I'm not 100% comfortable with because I feel like I don't know, no one really loves the sound of their voice or the way they look all the time.
Yeah.
So for us to be able to be consistent, we just have to put things out there and just if it's not something that we love, we just like look the other way and be like, I hope it goes well. You know? But like with our family, I feel like over the years I've become more private in that aspect as well, and I protect our peace. Like if something starts to, you know, affect me emotionally or mentally, I will kind of step away, and I know that I need to take time for myself away from it, and I won't read the comments or I won't read DMs. Like I have people that I have on my team that I have do that if I need help with it. I think it just takes time and trial and error to figure out how to navigate that, especially when you're just kind of thrust into it all of a sudden.
Yeah, you guys do strategy sessions on that stuff and how you do it? What's some of the key themes you try to follow? You don't need to get in details, but just kind of overall key themes of what you try to do.
I think content creation, the business in itself is very interesting because it's based around like my personality, like my persona, I guess.
Yeah.
So like I am the business,
Yep.
but my team is behind me to help support me in anything else that I need, whether it's editing or like helping me find trends so that I can keep pushing the content out regularly. Like we'll strategize on that. Like this is trending this week. And then I'll kind of brainstorm with them and figure out how I can add it into my content. And that's how we do that. And there's so many different facets of the business that a lot of people don't really even know about. Like there's affiliate platforms. So I have like roughly like 5 or 6 different affiliate platforms that I use. There's Amazon, LTK, Shop My, Revolve. Like there's just so many that you can do, and like that's another avenue of making income as a content creator.
Sure.
Based off of your sales and the traffic that you drive to brands. There's also brand partnerships. So I have like a whole team that does outreach and negotiations, and there's like a lawyer involved that does contracts. Like there's a lot of different things that are involved in it that people don't understand if they're just looking at the forward facing influencer. They're like, oh, that looks fun. It's like so simple.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking the question, because it is. There's a lot that goes behind developing your business. And so you have your current clients that or your current platforms obviously that you work with. I'm curious on how you reach out to bust into new ground? What are your thought processes on how do you get into new clients, new platforms, new things like that?
I think if you have a target, like say you have a target brand that you want to work with, you have to kind of align yourself with their brand as well. And like, or maybe even you don't align yourself with their brand, but I personally pick brands that I think are aligned with my brand. So, or something that I'm using organically in my life. So like if I want to work with, say, Dior, like a luxury fashion brand, I have to start posting me wearing other luxury fashion brands. Sure. Like I become that dream client of Dior, so that their dream clients are then looking to me to buy their product. Yeah. So if you have the numbers to show Dior, like this is the amount of eyes that are looking at my page, this is my aesthetic, this is the amount of sales that I can drive, I think that we should work together, here's my rates, yeah. That's kind of how it works.
Okay, yeah. Cool. Yeah. So with that, what's your current endeavors right now? And then or any upcoming projects, any other new stuff you got going on that you might want to tell the audience?
Yeah, I mean, I have something in the works that I'm not ready to talk about yet,
okay.
But I have done a lot in fashion in the past. Like I had a fashion brand as well,
okay.
And that's something that I learned a lot from in the past. I had it for 2 years. It was very successful. Creatively, it wasn't like the outlet that I was looking for anymore because I was with a partner at the time. And I think that if I were to do it again, I'd do it by myself. And that's something that's always been on my mind to maybe redo again in the future.
Okay.
But yeah, right now, Ari and I are just working on growing our platforms we have now. We also are big into real estate investing and commercial real estate. So we manage a lot of buildings in the area of Arizona right now.
I was going to say, is all in Arizona right now?
Yeah, in Arizona.
Okay.
My sister, Heather,
yeah,
she just got certified as a Legree instructor. And so Heather and I are planning on finding a studio in Arizona to either build a building or start a studio in there and do like a Legree studio. That's a big passion of mine.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, great. That's great. Yeah. So I'm going to, talking about all the stuff all the endeavors you're doing, all the entrepreneurial projects you got going on. You've seen the movie Forrest Gump. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is my favorite part of the whole podcast when I ask people about their Forrest Gump moments. My whole life is a Forrest Gump moment. Going to the Naval Academy, becoming a Navy SEAL, both those were not things I ever really thought about doing until they happened to be what was the best opportunity at the time. End up being things that, looking back on it, I couldn't imagine it being anything different because it was such a great impact on my life.
Right.
So you got one or two Forrest Gump moments for you. Obviously, maybe The Bachelor might be one of them, but what or any other thing you want to talk about? Why you? How did you get into that position of just, oh wow, here it is, and you know what, I'm going to take this and go with it, and it turned out to be really, really good for you. So I'll let you and just explain all that for me. It'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of where I've landed career-wise has been closely tied to where I was at personally. So like the reason that I ended up in Texas and ended up on the show in the first place was because I had an ex-fiance that I moved to Florida with and broke up with him there, moved back home, and I was like, okay, I need a fresh start. I can't be in Virginia Beach with my family anymore. I just need, new territory. Yeah. So I applied to jobs all over the country. I ended up getting one in Dallas. So I just moved there not knowing anybody, got this new job. And then a year later, my friends literally dragged me to a Bachelor casting.
I was going to ask you how you got into that, but that was a bit later. But yeah, so they drug you to it. Okay.
Yeah, they're like, can you please just tell us what it's like? Like, there's got to be like tons of people wrapped around the building. We just want to know what it's like. So I went there, and my other friend that was with me was just hell bent on getting on the show, and it did not work out for him, but for me it did. Shockingly, honestly. So yeah, I don't know. It just kind of happened by accident. I wasn't ever planning for that to happen. And for me, I really wanted a sorority experience in college, and my dad made me live at home and commute. So I was like, this is the next best thing, I think, going on The Bachelor.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. I'm going to have to give your dad a little bit of guff on that. All right. So yeah, it obviously it worked out well. What were some? I mean, that had to be like really surreal going that first screening, if you will, on The Bachelor, and then all of a sudden, seeing the people that really wanted it getting flaming out, and here
Mhm.
you are still standing. I mean, what was the impact in you on watching that happen as in real time?
I mean, the whole experience feels like a whole other lifetime. Like it was
Mhm.
7 years ago for me now. Um, but I don't know. I just was kind of there as a fly on the wall. Like I was very quiet. I
Yeah,
was just an observer, and I'm thrown onto this set where there's just like lights and cameras and these big personalities and glitz and glam
yeah.
everywhere. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like what did I get myself into? This is really wild. So yeah, it was a lot to take in at first, and I really didn't think that I would ever have a relationship with the Bachelor because what are the odds of that? There's like 30 women there.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
why would I? You
Simple
know?
math. That's all. Yeah,
Yeah.
big odds, right? Yeah.
So I just was there for the travel, to hang out with the girls, have a good time, see what it's all about, and we ended up getting married, and we've been married for 6 years now.
Yeah, I think the lesson learned for me on that was just, yeah, don't ever say no. You just,
Yeah.
look for a reason to say yes in life,
Right. Yeah.
and you never know what's going to happen at that point.
Exactly.
Um, so okay, that's a good moment. I'm going to ask you, what was your darkest moment in anywhere, and how did you get through that, and what did you take from that to get strength to keep on moving in a better direction?
Um, I feel like I mean I've had multiple, I mean darker moments, I guess, or like
Mhm.
learning moments,
Sure.
I'd like
Yeah, oh
to call
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Um,
Opportunities for improvement, right?
yes, exactly. I think as a mom, the hardest thing that I've been through is I had a miscarriage after my first daughter. So that was really difficult to
Yeah.
get through. But I got my twins after that. So I kind of feel like that was hard for me. And I did say that it was one of my darkest moments, but I shared it publicly with everybody as I was going through it. So I got a lot of feedback from other women that were going through something similar. And I feel like I touched a lot of their hearts and kind of like helped them along their journeys through miscarriage as well. So that's kind of the silver lining that I take from it. Like it may have been hard for me, but I at least was able to like help someone else through that experience. So,
You have that support group too, that
mhm.
that's going to give you that positive feedback and
Yeah.
comfort. And I think everybody kind of, I think people really downplay the importance of those connections, and
Mhm.
I think they really are the key to getting you through places that you probably wouldn't. At a uh, there was one guy, Inky Johnson. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He was a receiver. I play videos of him when we do coaching events, because he went from being a first round draft pick, and on one of his final college game, got it was a legal hit, but it was a massive hit, and
Mhm.
it paralyzed the entire left side of his body.
Oh, wow.
And so he lost, pretty much, you would think he lost everything, but he
Mhm.
was about, if not me, who? And then so
Mhm.
why shouldn't I be able to step up? And he became an incredible motivational speaker. And one of his big takeaways was, in life, if you go through things all about yourself, so at some point you're going to meet somebody or something tougher than you are.
Mhm.
And so without that support group, you're
Right.
not going to be able to get through those monster times that are going to inevitably come in front of you. And
Right.
so to me, that was one of the best moments. And I appreciate you sharing that, because as a dad and a husband, um, I couldn't even imagine that. And have had friends that have gone through that. And so again, just really appreciate that. And that's some
Of
good
course.
lesson learned, I think, for people out there.
Yeah. And I
See.
think, yeah,
Mhm.
those hard moments, just sharing them and then finding a positive to bring out of that,
Yeah.
it gives it new purpose too. So you know that like things that you're put through that are hard, they don't just happen for no reason. So,
Yeah, you got a gift of two kids after
mhm.
that, right? I mean, that's just amazing. And now you got another one coming. So
Right.
yeah. Um, let's see here. A little bit getting back to the business side of it. Any business decision you've made out there, or business decisions that were opportunities for improvement from a business perspective?
Oh,
What lesson learned did you take
definitely.
from them to move forward in the business world?
Yes. One that actually happened recently, major pain point or, learning curve for both Ari and I together. We started a company, an app actually, a
Mhm.
couple years ago, and it was called Duo. And we took a major loss on it. We self-funded the entire thing. And I feel like I've always kind of been confident in my ability to learn and grow on the fly. And I've usually done very well with this, but with Duo, I think we got in a little bit under, we weren't learning as quickly as we should have. We kind of got over our heads. We should have maybe leaned on others in the industry that had a little bit more experience.
Okay.
And I think that we learned that when it was a little bit too late. We were just trying to keep our margins as lean as we possibly could and do as much as we could on our own. But I think our mistake was not pulling in experts from the industry that were familiar with, growing and developing apps and marketing them to the public. And we should have probably pulled those people in and created a little bit more budget for them, because it wouldn't have hurt as bad if we had done that. But definitely a room for growth on that one.
Okay. So what was your best success so far then? Go counterpoint to that. And what made it a good success?
Yeah, I would say our commercial real estate business is really strong. Ari has been a real estate agent and then broker for many years, but he and I branched into commercial together just on a whim. Like, we tried remodeling older homes and flipping them. We did Airbnbs, and we're just like, I don't know, we don't really want to mess with that anymore. It's not really worth it. So we branched out into commercial, not knowing what we're doing again, and just learned on the fly. And
well, at least you could spell real estate now. So right? Yeah.
We've got some knowledge there. At least I have Ari.
Right.
But those have been really successful for us, and our goal is to try and acquire a building a year to keep growing that business.
Oh, great. Any particular businesses you're trying to attract to the office spaces, or just it doesn't matter, just bring anybody in?
It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
The type of building we look for is industrial spaces, mainly with an office in the front. So we just do, we'll buy bigger buildings and split them into suites and rent them out to different businesses. And that's kind of what we've been doing.
You got a lot of people out there, especially your all's age, a little bit younger, my daughter being one of them. And what, as potentially budding entrepreneurs, what are some key takeaways you would tell them, do this or don't do that? Give them some of your best lessons learned you had going forward in business.
This is honestly the same thing that I tell everybody that comes to me, and they're just like, how do I get started? How do I start doing this? Yeah. You just have to start. That is the hardest part, I think, for most people is you have a goal in mind, you know where you want to go, but you're too afraid to take the first step. You just need to put things into motion and see where it leads you, because there are always going to be forks in the road. There's going to be adversities you have to overcome, but you're never going to learn and grow unless you actually put your first foot forward. So that's one. Whatever you want to do, just move in that direction. You'll learn as you go. Everything will be fine. Yeah. Or if it's not, you'll learn from it. And I guess other than that, I think it's a good idea to always take educated risks. Make sure you're prepared for when the opportunity arises, and then you can rise to the occasion. Right. And that's a big thing that Ari and I always talk about. We just put ourselves out there, and then doors open. Put yourself out there and see what happens. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So a little bit shifting back to cleansing your soul. Okay. So for me, it's always been surfing. If I, it, no matter how bad a day I have, I get out in the water, and it literally and metaphorically cleanses me. Right. And so what do you do to cleanse Lauren's soul at the end of the day?
Well, I also love surfing.
Oh, so okay.
That's one. If I have the chance to do it, that's a big one for me.
Awesome.
Being out in nature in any way, honestly. As a mom, I don't get as long of periods of time away from the kids right now because they're so little. But if I just get a workout in the morning, I at least am at a good start for the day. That's the beginning of my routine, so that I can manage everything the rest of the day. But always being out in nature helps.
Yeah. So actually, I want to touch a little bit on snowboarding, dude, since you brought it up. When's the last time you snowboarded? Has it been a while? Or?
It's been a really long time.
Maybe I mean, because I was talking to Ari, and we'll talk about it. People don't realize that Arizona has ski resorts, and my hometown had one. That's where he goes all the time. So have you? Obviously, you haven't been up there yet, up to Sunrise.
No, not in Arizona.
Yeah. Okay. There's two others too. You got the Snow Bowl up in Flagstaff, and they got Mount Lemmon down by Tucson, which is the most southern ski resort in the United States.
Wow.
In case you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Right outside, you go, it's a couple hours outside Tucson. It's about 11,000 feet up, I think, give or take. Yeah.
Pretty. To check it out.
It's not much there, but it's good enough to slide down a hill. So, And what do you, what was your favorite part? What was your favorite part to snow or place to snowboard back when you were still highly active doing it? Back in
Whistler's always been my number one.
Oh, really?
I love Whistler.
My wife and I learned there. That's where we learned.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got to go back because I'm a lot better now than there. And back then we couldn't go up to the second part of the hill.
Really?
Yeah, we weren't quite good enough. So to now, yeah. So at some point we will. All right. Where do you think you guys are going to be, or where would you like to see overall in the next 6 months, 2 years, 5 years? Where would Lauren's dream place to be?
Without saying too much.
Yeah.
I guess I would just continue growing our businesses that we currently have.
Yeah.
I have a certain passion project in mind that I would like to develop and launch within the next year. And then obviously my goal will be to grow that over the next few years after that launches, but not something I can talk about yet.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, the top 3 scars. What are your biggest 3 lessons learned in life? Personal, professional, doesn't matter. And why are they? And how do how do they impact you?
Okay.
Yeah.
My 3 scars.
Yeah.
I guess I hate calling them scars because then it makes it negative. But
this is just so for the audience, that maybe your audience, it's military slang. So anytime we have an experience that we learn from, we call it a scar tissue. And so it's not a negative. It is a very much a positive thing. Okay. Because as long as you learn something from the experience, it's a positive experience. Right? Okay. So.
Yeah, I think growing up as a military child, definitely one of those scar tissues.
Yeah.
It was difficult at the time, but I'm really grateful for that experience now, and I'm the person I am today because of that. The other one, I guess, would be, I have to say The Bachelor, even though I feel like I've talked about that a lot over my life. But yeah, that's been a big one. Obviously, I don't know, you said you watched the show that we were on, but we had a lot of backlash at the end of it, and that was something that was really difficult to overcome. People were very angry, but I think that they didn't really understand what happened at the time because they made it very confusing to the viewers on the show. They didn't get why he picked me. They thought it was just because I was cute, but I didn't talk. So
now I'm like thinking about they never really explained that. Just also, hey, sorry, I'm you, and they're like, okay, that was that hit me in last night when I was watching some of that stuff. But that you talk about an impact on somebody though. So how did you tune all that out? I guess at the end of the day.
Well, Ari, he grew up with a dad that won the Indy 500 twice, so they were in the public eye through his childhood. So I kind of leaned on him a lot on how to navigate through that. He was very calm and collected, mostly for the most part. He's like, just ignore it, block it out. Like, do not say anything back, because I was tempted. I always wanted to respond and be like, no, I didn't do that. I didn't say this. He's like, just don't say anything. It's better that way. So yeah, I leaned on him a lot, and I just learned a lot on the fly. So that's 2. And then I guess my last one in business would be the app that Ari and I tried to develop, and we failed. But I feel like it's still a positive because you have to try in order to succeed, and those failures are what make you into a success leader if you keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Any last words? Any before we close it out for today? Anything you would like the viewers to go look at? Any things that would be of interest to anybody? I'll let you guide the way.
All right. I mean, I guess I would just say, if you want to follow along with our story, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, TikTok. All of my handles are at Lauren Luyendyk, and you can keep up with us there.
All right. Well, great. Well, thanks, Lauren. It's been a pleasure having you on board, and come back soon.
Yeah,
all right. Great. Thank you.